Hey, what's up?
Hey, we got one viewer. It's me. Oh, we got two people watching. It's me and one other person.
I think that's me.
You're watching on my channel too, or on your channel?
Yeah, on yours. I just pulled up.
So I'm sure we'll get some people in a minute.
Oh.
But yeah, man, today was just like crazy. I filmed like probably an hour worth of footage the other day going through those new nukes. And hey, what's up, Bruce? How you doing, buddy? Hey,
we got Charlie too.
The Charlie went down to Georgia. And
yeah, my day's been kind of crazy.
And you know, shit. I filmed that footage, and probably 30 minutes of it was showing my ass crack. So I was like, I'm not posting that. So I just I did everything in the B yard and wasted my footage because I had my damn droopy britches on the back with my ass crack showing. So I wasn't gonna post that for sure.
Heck, I went to I done 3 of the B yards today. I still ain't got bees in my 4th yard, so I went to my 3 other yards, and I brought the camera to every one of them, but I never took it out of the vehicle.
Did you ever did they ever tell you when you're getting your other nukes?
I'm suspecting next weekend now, since it wasn't this weekend. But they were supposed to get the queens in Tuesday, so I figured they dropped the queens in. They're going to give them a week or whatever to make sure they're laying. Normally they make their own queens, but they done got so many hives this year or so many colonies. They've been busy, and they just ordered queens.
I've been having a hard time getting my queens to come back, the new ones. So we'll have to keep playing that game to see what's happening.
I checked that number 2 split that I done in the horizontal that I didn't have a queen return before on, and I dropped another frame of eggs and larvae in and got a queen cell in there now.
I finally filmed a normal video. I know, man. I get all excited. I see the swarm, and it's like 46 seconds long, the clip. I'm like, what? Come on, Bruce. No more shorts.
Hey, William. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Bruce. Bruce. Hey, Brian. I got Bruce and Brian and Bruce's bees. So, yeah, dude. So I went out there today. All I did was put the honey on my tailgate and sat there in a lawn chair next to my sign that said local honey for sale and just waved at cars as they went by. I sold almost $300 worth of honey in like 3 hours.
Heck, you almost done better than I did at the event yesterday we went to. Didn't realize it. The same day we done the event for the Crawfish Festival, they had the 100-year celebration for the city that it was being done in. So they had another event on the other side of town,
right?
That basically held everybody over there.
That's
I done probably right around 600, but still, it should have been a lot more than that.
Well, I started using Cash App too. People were Cash Apping me their payments. So some people. Charlie.
Hey.
What's going on, buddy?
Oh, I've been beekeeping for like the last 2 weeks, just steady.
Well, I saw your video when you were doing the
I think I was about, how far are you from Santee?
Oh, Santee? I used to be a police officer 6 miles from Santee in a little podunk town called Ellery. Santee is actually larger than Ellery is, and Ellery is where I was a police officer.
All right.
So, yeah, that's I'm familiar with it. I'm probably an hour, maybe a little bit over an hour to it.
Yeah.
Because it's all back road country.
Yeah, we like I say, left Friday morning and come back loaded Saturday or Sunday morning and come back up the road. We were home we left like 7:45 and got up on 95 and got up there around Fredericksburg, Virginia, south of DC, and it was bumper to bumper for the next whatever it took to get to DC.
Right.
Finally got up there where those what do you call them express lanes are, and then got rid of all that traffic, and then we could get through. But we did it. We got it done and all. But
Everybody come pick them up and everything already?
I guess. I mean, that's Lloyd he's a Man Lake dealer, and he also sells nukes, and that's where it was up at his place selling nukes, and also those package bees are all pre-ordered.
Right.
And
you have to order them early in the year, probably.
Yeah, from him, yeah. But no, that week it was like I took off from work for the next from Monday through Wednesday, where I just hit the ground running. It was the first week we had any decent weather up here, and I sold got 13 nukes out that week, and
you have been busy.
13 nukes, and then when that tractor and trailer came in, it brought me in 10 queens from down there where you got yours. Cutics, and I installed all them and got all that done by Thursday, and then that morning, Friday morning at 4:30, I'm in the truck going to Georgia.
Right.
Came back, and then this past week, it was cold in the beginning of the week here, and then it finally started to warm up, and so I got, I guess it was Saturday, I went through my honey hives, and I had set them up for single brood chamber management, and 3 of them needed supers. Well, actually, that's what I did before I went to Georgia that Thursday. I happened to be checking them, and I'm like, man, these things are packing honey already. So 3 of them are really doing it. So I put supers on and all that, and then Saturday afternoon I went through them all and equalized, and I was going to do a video, but it was overcast and the weather was lousy.
Right.
Anyway, I got done equalizing them and moving brood around, and I found me another queenless hive, and I had another original queenless hive where I dropped a cell in. And I'm thinking, okay, I didn't see any laying worker evidence, eggs or anything like that, but it must be a laying worker hive because I think it killed that queen. So I threw some queen cells in that I found someplace else, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I went through those hives and marked the queens and just, updated. I had a couple of them there that was a little bit weak, and I got to looking at them. It happened to be they still had a little bit of paint on them, and it was a white queen, so that's what, 2 years old?
No, that's last year.
Yeah, 2021.
I thought blue was last year.
White last year, yellow this year, and year before last was blue.
Blue is on 0 and 5.
Yeah, I can't remember that stuff. But well, anyway, I marked them all up and all that stuff. So it looks like to me I need to, once I start grafting, I need to replace some queens. They're getting too old.
If you mark on the right color, some people just mark on any color available just to be able to see them.
Well, I got to go through my nukes. I requeen a lot of nukes, and I got to find them, paint them, and see where I'm at in my nuke yard.
Hell, I went through today and added some supers to some of my little bit slower colonies that are just starting to catch up. And the new nukes I put in, but they were like nukes on steroids. They weren't like regular nukes. I went in there the next day, they were covering 10 frames. So
Like them queens, don't you?
Well, these
Weren't they Kudicks?
not these. No, not these. I actually had went to Blythewood Bee Company, and they had some Carniolan nukes that they had that people had paid deposits on and then didn't come and get them. And they were there. They had been there for like over a week extra.
Right.
And they're like, hey, we got to get rid of these because if we don't, they're going to swarm. So I'm like, well, all right. How many you got? Give me 5 of them. And they were packed.
Oh,
How much you get for a 5-frame nuke on medium foundation? He's not sure how much to charge.
I got 190. It don't matter what kind of nuclear I got. It's $190. Now there's other folks around us here. They'll charge 200, 200 and a quarter, like for overwintered, and everything that I sold was that it was overwintered, but I don't know. I mean, to me, it's like if people are trying to get into beekeeping, it's bad enough. How much, it's, all the money and everything.
Right.
I mean, I don't try to gouge.
I don't try to gouge. I just want to. The problem is, if you're making a good nuke, you should be able to get at least what everybody else is getting on average. You know what I mean? I'm not.
I actually this year I did raise my prices up.
I have a yard that a guy moved his hives. There's a lot of bees flying that got left behind. If I take a swarm box and put a cage queen, what's the chance of getting them in the box?
I would have to say it'd probably be pretty good. Because, I mean, they wouldn't have nowhere else to go. It'd just be like if you moved a single hive, they'd drift to the hive next to it.
I think I saw actually David from Barnyard Bees took like a mated queen in a cage and hung it on, I want to say like a piece of wire from a tree. And those bees just landed on it like an artificial swarm. But don't listen to me because I don't want to kill your queen. But I think he had done it in a video before. So I would look at his stuff if you wanted to see that.
Bees will smell her, that's for sure. They'll find them. I mean, let me put it to you this way. When we were going up the road, we had to put a canvas on because it was getting cool. We were down in south of Richmond, Virginia. We had, I don't know, about 75 queens in the pickup, in the front of the pickup with us, or truck.
Right.
They're all in a long stack, and we had the doors open. We were working, with the ladders and things, and all them straggler bees that were outside them boxes, they all headed inside our cab truck, and they were all making love to those boxes in that stack of queens. So, they don't care. They like the queen smell.
Well, you missed Tuesday. We had Ian Stepler on.
Yeah, I missed that. I don't know. I think Tuesday. I don't know. I've just been working so hard that I've just been exhausted per se. And I helped out one of the mentees that I had trained. He's now in the National Guard, and he's in training right now. Anyway, I went to his house today and helped
him get caught up.
Help his parents and stuff to try to, get his beehive area in line so they won't. Well, some of them have swarm, but just to get the honey supers on and rearrange them and everything. So.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I started doing today, putting a few supers on, which I should have already had them on earlier this year. But when I was working the 712s and I had all the swarm issue, they got a little weaker. So I'm late putting supers on now.
Well, my thing is that most of my supers I'm adding don't have drawn comb on them. So that's going to slow them up a little bit too. So I'm just going to make the best out of what I can with what I got,
Yeah,
well, I bought a bunch more new supers this year, but all the ones that I'm putting on to start with is all my drawn comb supers from previous year.
Yeah, see, we're Swarmstead bees and gardening. He had the same problem we did. Yeah, we had to shoo him out of the truck cab.
But yeah, I mean, it's just been kind of crazy. We haven't even, well, this week this is only the second time we went live. I went live the other night and you joined me. So this is the third time this week, but this is only the fourth real video that I've put out this week.
Yeah, I got to think about it. I hadn't put any video out since that little 100 subscriber video that I did. I've been so busy, and the bad thing is, like I said, I went to all 3 bee yards today, done work, but never got the camera out of the truck.
Well, that's the way I was Saturday. I was like, say, I had to, let me see if I can get this light out of there. I had to, like you say, you have all this stuff to do, and you just don't have, you got to get it done because there's those windows of opportunity. And the weather just hasn't been all that great up here in Maryland. Yeah. It's actually this coming week, by the weekend, they're talking frost again.
Really?
Yeah.
We had a night.
Did you see Ian Stepler's video? He put out all that terrible
flooding now.
Well, the flooding and then that blowing wind and blowing his pails off and along with the varmints and everything. And, I mean, he could lose a ton of bees there. I
think he said right now when he was on our show, he said he was at like 15% loss.
Yeah. Our lowest temperature for this weekend, that's nighttime temperature, is going to be like 60, 61.
Yeah, that's about like what we are this week.
Brian said he had highs of 40 and lows in the 29. Yeah, it's a kind of actually. I think if you look at the what do they call them, longitudinal, parallel, whatever they are, where I live and he lives, we're kind of in the same temperature area, I guess you would call it. Yeah, the day was 86. Well, like today was wonderful up here. It was. I don't think it was quite that hot, but it was, shirt weather.
Hell, it's 73 right now. Here.
I think we only got 84 today.
We were 83.
I'm showing 76 right now.
I'm at 73. Yep. So let me see what the next 10 days. I think it's supposed to rain in the next few days here.
Yeah, we got rain coming into, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday or something.
Yeah,
something like that.
I got it Tuesday. So tomorrow it's supposed to be 88 here with a low of 63. And then Wednesday, it's supposed to be a low of 49. But other than that, Thursday, low of 52. And then it's going to be like 58, 60, all 60s. So not terrible. So just hopefully it keeps up. Everything keeps up. That's the main thing. But came and threw us a curveball tonight. We were going to go live an hour early and came and went live on a Sunday instead of a Saturday. And everybody was over there. So we're like, I don't know if they're going to come over or not. So we appreciate all you guys coming over and checking it out.
Definitely.
29. Holy Moses.
Direct cut. Where are you all located at?
Oklahoma.
That's Oklahoma.
Okay.
He's in Oklahoma.
Actually, that's where my mentee is. He's in Oklahoma in the Air Force, learning how to refuel airplanes in the middle of the air.
Hey, Mike.
We shoot, it's I don't know. It's kind of crazy. I got to figure out which one of my colonies I want to switch over to my observation hive for my field trip thing. Got to figure that out. And I've got a couple of those nukes I just bought. I can't find the queen in them. So I haven't killed any cells that were in there because they were so packed when I got them.
Have you seen any eggs?
Not in those, but they haven't even. Tomorrow it'll be a week since they were put in that box.
Yeah, but those nukes are miniature hives. They should have a laying queen, and they should have all 3 things of brood in there.
Oh, these
It ain't like a caged queen.
yeah, but these were like super nukes. They were so slammed with bees. I mean, the lid, the every wall, both sides of all the frames. I mean, it was packed out with brood and had swarm cells and everything in it when I got it.
Hey,
So
Johnny.
a little bit of crisis. I enjoy your life better than Cayman. Well, thank you, Daisies. We, you know, I like Cayman's videos and his live streams. I like them. Sometimes they're informative. But I don't like I'm a science guy, but at some point I just want to beekeep. I don't care about this is gonna sound stupid, but I don't really care about all of the sciencey stuff all the time behind it. Maybe that sounds terrible. I don't know, but I just want to talk bees and hey, this is what we got going on, and what's going on with you. And sometimes the sciencey stuff, I like it, but I just get tired of getting it beat in my head all the time. Like, why does peppermint work? Hell, I don't know. It's just working.
Yeah.
If you want to use it, use it. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. All I'm saying is it's working for me.
I had one hive at my number 3 yard today. I seen 2 hive beetles in, so I reloaded the peppermints.
Now, how long has it been since you put the original peppermint in?
Ooh, 2-3 weeks maybe.
And see, this is part of the ass crack video you guys didn't get to see, but pretty much all of those peppermint patties that I put in all those 8 nukes, gone, all of it. No hive beetles, no hive beetle larvae in any of it.
Have you heard anything from like Mike Barry or who's been tried it or whatever? Have they had any success down there?
I haven't heard anything from them.
I haven't heard nothing yet.
Now, Dirt Rooster did say that he has noticed a reduction in them.
Well, that's better than
But he said he's going to do it through the whole season before he puts any information out on it. All I'm saying is I'm treating hive beetles like I'm treating varroa mite. I want to keep their numbers manageable to where my colonies can take care of them. That's it. If peppermint is that magic bullet that helps, then peppermint is going to be. Until
that one hive that I've seen the beetles in today, that was one of the ones that swarmed, so they were a little bit weaker. So I think that may have been a contributing factor.
All right, so the polyhive I had in last check, I only saw like 5 compared to 20 or 30. I remember when you opened that polyhive up and saw all them beetles.
Yeah, Brian's hives were loaded.
And Brian pepperminted it. And now he says they got like 5. So that's a pretty drastic reduction. So that's a good thing. And I think next time you go back, Brian, it'll be less than that or probably none.
Shit, you looking, basically like 80% reduction right there.
Well, I had who was Mr. Derek that was on the other day that in the last live stream chat. He lives 5 miles from me, and he came over and we went through 15 colonies. We saw 3 beetles. On the way home, they stopped and bought peppermints. He went back to his house. He commented that he put peppermints in, and his hive that had the most beetles in it didn't have any in it anymore. So all I know is working. That's it. It's working. That's all I can say. Now I will say that I've done other things also in conjunction with peppermint in my bee yard, right? Like I put down the black tarp and all that in the winter time. So that is probably contributing, but I've had other people that have said, no, it's worked for me too. And they're gone, or there's just a couple in there.
Well, that's what I tell people up here is like that rack behind me. That one doesn't have it, but underneath there, I'll have people stop by that are in the carpet business, like laying carpet and all. And I'll tell them, hey, you ripping any carpet out? Yeah. I said, well, rip me a piece out that's at least 5 feet wide. And don't matter how long it is because I'll cut it. And I flipped that carpet upside down, put the fuzzy side down and put the backing up.
Right.
And I started doing that for the first reason was it keeps the grass from growing, and it's out past the front of the hive, and I can take my riding mower and just mow right along there, and no problem. Keeps the grass, like I say, keeps the grass from growing. Then later on, I found out that the hive beetle larvae have
get through it
in the ground. Now I don't have sandy ground like you guys might have. Mine's more of a clay base. But now Brian up there, his ground should be around a clay, kind of basically like ours, mine. And it breaks that life cycle. And then you have the naysayers like, oh, the larvae will crawl across the carpet and go into the ground. Well, maybe it might. Maybe one or two might. But if you can break 80-90% of that life cycle by just putting carpet down,
right?
Hey, that's better yet.
That's if they don't get fried by the sun in the meanwhile and dried out.
Before they crawl off.
Oh, they got black dirt 14 to 18 inches, then clay. Yeah, we got sand. And then kind of
sand will be really easy.
Clay. Yeah.
You know.
We got a lot of loomy dirt here. It break up real easy.
Right.
Ours will pack very tightly though. It's like real fine sand and it packs tight. So if there's no rain, it gets really hard. However, if it's rainy like it's been, it's pretty mushy. You can get down in it.
Brian was saying he had that black dirt. I know what he's talking about. That's that real rich soil.
Yeah, he's in farm country.
Our dirt here, when you plow it, it's sort of a light brown. It's not black at all. And
put rock under the stands.
Well, I don't know. I mean, as far as maintenance wise, I'm not sure whether that would help.
Really directly under my hives, there's nothing. I only have the black tarp in front of the entrance because when they come out, they're going to fall down, right? So it's right in front of the entrance, but right under the entrance part of it, underneath that black tarp, should they make it through there, I had diatomaceous earth underneath that, and then put the tarp, and then put the wood chips. So they have to go through the wood chips, then through the tarp, and then through diatomaceous earth. As far as that, so if they can do all that, they're bad beetles. But I don't think it's gonna happen.
The first stand that I'd build, I'd put that roofing paper, the black roofing paper you lay down like before shingles. I put that on there just to keep the grass from growing. But that was really before I even knew hive beetles and all the different stuff.
And that was the way with me with carpet. I didn't know all about that. And really, to be quite honest with you, now I don't know what I'll say that I don't have hive beetles. Now there's other folks who live real close by. But the first, I said, and they'll say, boy, I'm just ate up with hive beetles. I said, yeah. And you got your hives underneath the trees, don't you? Or along the tree, along the edge of the tree line or whatever. And he'll say, yeah. I said, well, that's the problem. I said, if the reduced mites, or not mites, the beetles in our area, 100% sunlight. And that really does a lot for us up here.
I'll be curious to see what Lee's new yard is going to be because those hives are like right on the tree line.
That's what I'm about to pull up right now, so you can see.
Now, didn't you guys say that the peppermint, the beetles eat it, and then it gets in their tongue or their proboscis? And then when they're being tricked to feed the beetles don't like that peppermint taste or whatever.
Right.
Isn't that what it is?
That's part of it. It's got that menthol in it. In the peppermint.
Okay.
That's where that's going to be hive beetle central right there.
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, what I did, I took the triazicide granules, and I put. One bag's supposed to cover like 2,500 square foot, and I put it all within 100 square foot area.
What kind of
And then-
granules? Is it?
It's like a triazicide. Basically, it kills
Fire
fleas,
ant crystals?
mites, ants, pretty much like 101 different things it kills. But I put that there, and then that's been there a couple weeks now. It's rained a few times, soaked into the ground. So by the time I put bees next weekend, there's no real residue or granule on top of the ground for the bees to mess with.
So, Mark, are you a commercial beekeeper? You put
Mike.
what is it, 19 nukes and
Oh,
30?
19 nukers and 30 supers this past weekend. That's
That's
pretty
nice.
good. That's a lot of nukes. I need to get some more nukes going. I bought the stuff for my Queen Castle dividers today, so I'll probably work on that tomorrow.
Michael shouldn't have too much of a problem with hive beetles. He's sitting on a concrete slab.
Right? They'll hit that concrete and sizzle.
Really, I know there was one gal in my club, and she made that same comment. They were buying a new house, and she said that she said, I want to pour like a sidewalk slab where all her hives are right on there. They don't have grass to mow, they don't hive beetle problems or any of that kind of stuff.
That's if you got the money to pour an extra slab. That's the problem.
Mark said he's just hobby.
He's just a hobbyist.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I think that's where everybody starts at as a hobby.
Yeah.
And then it just
Mine's kind of
gets
grown
bigger.
into a little bit of a sideliner thing. Some here lately, after what I've been through here the last couple of weeks, I'm like, maybe I've gotten a little bit too big.
Right.
There's no such thing as too big.
Well, the
Charlie, what's been keeping you
problem
so
with
busy?
beekeeper that most beginners don't understand is that they'll say, well, I only want 4 hives or 6 hives or something like that. It just doesn't work that way.
Mm-mm.
The bees are going to multiply, and it was like, I went out there and equalized them hives, those honey hives, so they won't swarm. And it's like, okay, where did I put all this extra brood at? Now, some of them had swarm cells, and I harvest all that to put it in those, queenless hives to see whether that would, between the brood smell of the pheromones and then the swarm cells, hopefully they'll make themselves a queen. Because I'm not going to put any more money into them as far as that. I should have never done that, but it looked like to me when I put that queen in there that they were loving her pretty good. So I figured, well, that ought to work, but it didn't.
I had a colony that for some reason was sucking. I mean, it's the one that had the screen bottom board. Like I kept saying, it's the only hive I've got that's got a screen bottom board, and it was just sucking. I don't know what, they killed the queen. They started going down in size. So I took one of those new queens and the whole nuke it was in and dropped the whole damn nuke right into the colony. I mean, the whole thing. Just took out 5
Well,
grains
that's what
and dropped it in.
like I say, I got to go out there this week. The next thing I got to do is I got to go through the nukes that I've dropped queen cells in, or queen cage queens, pull the cages and go through them. And I'd like to mark the queens if I can find them, but also see what I've got left. And like I said, I've got one honey hive there that's packing the brood chamber full of honey. And I figured, well, I'll pull all that out, put it up in the honey. So I gave it a honey super to give it to keep packing, and I'll drop a whole darn nuke in that thing and see, hopefully that'll, she'll be protected and
Right.
they'll get along. Or I'll probably newspaper her in and that kind of stuff.
Mike, how you doing?
Well, not too bad. Not too bad. I'm busy doing laundry here, but Charlie, I'm trying to keep up with all this stuff. Gets kind of interesting, doesn't it?
Well, it's like I say, like my nukes, I sold them all those nukes in 2 days, got everybody to show up.
Great.
And usually I don't take off from work, but I told my brother, I said, look, the weather finally broke, and if I don't get these nukes out of here within a week or so, they're going to swarm.
Oh, right.
And the brood, they had a ton of brood, and but no swarm cells or anything. I got in there early enough, so that's why I wanted to get rid of them. And then of course, I got the phone call, hey, we're going to Georgia, which I expected that because for the last 4 years, I went to Georgia Easter weekend. And so I had a good time down there. I mean, there's 2 more videos coming out, and one of them's going to be on the grafting part and what they do. And then the last one will be, we went out to the queen yards, and the whole group of us and was catching queens and putting cells in, which is, no big deal. They're just plop a cell in. But, the way they do it, you got a yard there that's got 1,000 hives in it amongst the trees.
Oh, it takes time.
Well, they had about 6 folks there, catching queens. And some of the things that wasn't in the video that I just couldn't get in. I had one of the guys there. He was showing me. He's actually one of the family members. He pulled up. We were in the Russian yard where all the Russians are, and he pulled up a beautiful looking Russian queen, gorgeous, but she had an egg hanging out her backsides. And he says, I'm going to kill her. I said, why? He says, because that egg is stuck in her. He says, she's no good. So they would pinch her. And
I think I saw Greg at Nature's Image Farms, I think, showed a picture with a queen with the egg hanging out of her backside.
Might have been that. I thought, actually, when I looked at that, I thought it was part of one of the drones. But he said, no, it's an egg. And so he said, she's not going to lay good. So they pinched her.
Put a new queen in there?
Well, they'll put a cell in. Now, what was interesting is they took that queen, pinched her, and they put her back in that little hive because they want her pheromones to be in there so they don't, they're not queenless.
Right.
Type of thing. And then we went along there, and I can't tell you how they know, but they'll say, well, this hive here is queenless. I said, well, how do you know? You only got 2 little frames and a little teeny feeder in there. Frames are about, 7 inches wide or something like that. And he said, we just know, we can look, population and whatever. And he'd go through there. He said, this one here, he says, something went wrong here. Here's a virgin right here running around. And didn't get mated. Maybe the bad weather they had down there, because they've had some rain issues and a bunch of stuff. And
right.
They pinched her. He said, we can't, I said, why don't you just leave her in there? Nope. Get rid of her. She didn't do what she was supposed to do in a certain amount of time. And they'll put cells into it.
All right, here's a long question. Being new to beekeeping, I'm running solid bottom boards and migratory lids. How do I put ventilation in, or do I need it? Temps in July and August get up above 100. I'm on the slab, no shade. Well, where are you at? First of all, where are you located at? That'd be a big answer.
Up to 100. It's got to be out west someplace.
It could be here, too. It could be down south.
Yeah,
What do you mean by slab? You're on the slab. We're talking about asphalt, concrete, or?
He's got a concrete slab. He's the guy that's got the concrete slab that he's got the hives on.
It's a house where it burnt down.
Yeah, so I use feeder shims that have 3/4 holes drilled in them with a screen on it to let the heat escape out of the top.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to pull up here. Is what I use is the 10 frame feeder shim, and I just pull the plug out.
He's in my neck of the woods. He's on the coast though. I'm in Larimore. I'm in Columbia, just outside of Columbia. Yeah, I use feeder shims. I make my own. I don't buy them fancy schmancy ones like Lee does.
Well,
I mean, for like $6, I couldn't beat.
Well, when you do that, don't you get a lot of bird home with that?
I don't.
No, I had.
How tall are they? Inch?
I usually use 1x2.
1.5 inch.
Okay.
You've got another alternative too.
Up here, they'll have. I've used them in the past where I call them ventilation shims, and I'm using an inner cover and a telly cover. and I put that between the inner cover and the tele cover, and it has elongated slots, and then you put 1/8" hardware across that, and it's kind of like giving the bees a porch, a screened in porch. But what I have found is that, you know, sometimes they know how much air they want, and
They'll propolyze it.
Propolyze all that stuff up. So
That's what I was going to say right here. Like,
I mean, as far as like he was talking about the bottom boards, I mean, up until only the last 15 years or so, 20 years, they didn't have screen bottom boards. Everything was solid bottoms. And the only thing I would say with a tele or with a migratory, get yourself a little stick or something, or get a board and rip it maybe, I don't know, let's say 1/8 of an inch thick, 3/16, and put that between the lid and the top of the hive, and that way it will give them a little ventilation. I'm not sure whether they could get out of there. But
I did that on some of my videos last year. If you look back, I put a little stick under the inner cover, but then I've seen where you could take a paint stick and just break it into a little short pieces.
Paint stick.
A paint stick. I mean, it's real thin, but it's just enough. It'll allow that heat to go out.
Dissipate.
Yeah.
Well, you got two other alternatives too, and one of them is to use that a quilt board. And if you have a solid inner cover, if you just put some number 8 hardware cloth over the center hole, you get the air out. You know, those things work great for renting in summer. That's not what you have to watch the bees to see, you know, how much are they fanning at the entrance. But there's another alternative, and that's that. And this is just an idiosyncrasy of mine. So just jump all over me on this one, everybody. But what I like to do is every deep super that I have has a spin wheel metal entrance on it. And the reason I do that is that when I overwinter them, I have the top is just solid. I don't do, you know, like a top vent board or anything. I like to have a heat dome up above where our moisture board would be, and that way you don't get the condensation on the top. So I'll open those things up, and I open them up just far enough for the bees to like come and go. They'll figure out their own ventilation. By the way, if it gets really cold, the doggone things will sacrifice themselves. They'll plug that hole up with their bodies. But that's another alternative to heavy venting. But I don't know what, you know, Lee, Bob, Charlie, what you guys think of this. If you just watch the bees at the entrance and see how heavy they're fanning, you can also end up with just an excessive amount of bearding out front.
Right.
And that gets interesting because I like those bees to stay warmer. I like to stay as many of them in the hive as I can, so they'll take out warm in the morning and then go and fly. But again, that depends on what your temperatures are. So.
Well, he's in South Carolina like I am. I keep that feeder shim on all year long. Winter, summer, don't matter. It's on. And it like Charlie was saying, in the winter, if they're too cold, they'll propolyze it and close it up.
Well, and also, you don't really get a hard winter down there, do you, that much?
No, not normally. Like, we got snow twice this year, but that's like very, very unusual.
Okay.
Now you want an inexpensive solution here. Daisy said just stick a penny under it.
Or Daisy ice cream stickle sticks. You can get them at your what do you call them?
Hobby shops.
Craft.
You can get at Walmart even.
Yeah, Walmart. Yeah. Another thing. Now, what I do is I do inner covers and tele covers. I mean, that's just the way I bought the stuff. And I made some blocks. They are about 1.5 inches wide and 2 inches long, and I think you have to kind of figure it out depending on how the recessed part of your inner cover is. But basically, I think they're 5/8 thick, and that'll jack that tele cover up about just enough to let the heat out and have ventilation. And and you'll see you'll see me putting them blocks on. And them blocks stay on year round. I don't have any moisture problems. I don't have any heat problems because it's just enough to let, kind of act like a chimney almost.
However, what you will have down here, if you have a gap between the box and the lid is hive beetle problems. You will have them here. So,
Yeah, but you'll
So-
have these candy things, in there.
yeah, well, that's why I use the feeder shim with the ventilation in it, is so it's sealed up against the migratory cover.
Right.
And I mean, that works for me. Everybody's going to be different. If you don't have hive beetles, you can take the whole damn top off and it'd probably
That's exactly right. It's just like I tell people, people look at me when I tell them I'm buying 2,000 pounds of sugar to feed my bees.
That's
And
always a
the
funny
thing
one.
of it is, I got a friend of mine. He's got about 40 hives or so, about like me, about that many. But anyway, he lives about 20 miles up the road. He lives really out in the country, more so than I am. He lives on a major river, the Susquehanna River. And there happens to be I think it's an apple and peach orchard or something like that next to his house.
Right.
And he doesn't have to feed at all in the fall. Actually, he made last year, he got a 500-pound honey crop in the fall, and that is unheard of for me. I get my honey crop is April, May, and June, and I'm done. And
Wow.
that's it. I'm done. That's
Okay,
it.
that's a freak show. 500 pounds.
Well, he got in the fall up there 20 miles away, 500 pounds in the fall. And then on top of that, the bees, he doesn't feed sugar in the fall. The bees resupplied themselves and filled up all his hives. The only thing he did was we got together and we made some candy boards. Now that we made them, I talked to this one fella in another club of mine, and he does this to get the instructions about it. And we made our shims 3 inches deep, and it's like a telecover, but it fits exactly at the same size of a honey super or over the brood nest. And then we cooked sugar to a boiling liquid, like making hard candy is what you're doing. They call it softball candy, where it's 230 or 40 degrees or whatever it's called. Yeah, there you go. Well, anyway, we poured those tops full of that hard candy, and they'll set up within so many, half an hour. And then we put them on in the middle of December. Summer's right around Christmas time. And they're good to go until March. Now in his situation, because he's letting nature take it over, not him feeding, some of those hives might starve because they didn't provide for themselves adequately. So he put basically the sugar or the candy boards for him was an insurance policy to keep them alive.
Too, in the greater scheme of things, you don't want to lose a hive.
No, so I used them this year for the first time, but I also feed liquid, and I got a setup. I'll be filming that too later on, where I like cooking sugar, and I make 40-gallon batches, and I have it set up to where I go into a 40 gallons because I got a 40-gallon tank in the back of my truck, and I pump it off into top hive feeders, and I feed them in the fall. And
some of them will argue and say, "Well, I don't want to have to buy all them bags of sugar. How much is a 25-pound bag of sugar?"
That's
Walmart here is $11 and something.
How much is
Less than
buying a new
$12.
nuke when your bees die?
$185, $200.
Yeah, so you got that balancing act, and there's an alternative to doing all that, and reusing the sugar too, and that's where you basically make sugar cubes.
Yeah, the sugar blocks.
Well, yeah, I took Cayman's recipe for just the water and the sugar, and in all fairness, I put a little bit of lemongrass in there too, which probably isn't going to help what I'm saying.
I don't know whether I would do that or not. I made them a lot. My nukes went through some feed this year, more so than they normally do, and I think I ran out of sugar is what I think I did, and I didn't continue feeding until they stopped. And so I made sugar bricks like you say. It's the formula is 10 pounds of sugar, cup of water, and I put in a tablespoon or two of apple cider vinegar.
Yes, I've never had a mold problem with that, but maybe it's my.
That's not what it's for. It's not for the mold. I mean, now when you take a paint stir, I got it.
No. Keep going, Charlie. Keep going. I'm sorry to interrupt.
When I paint stir, where you get it to where it's like the sugar is like you can pack it in with your hands like a snowball.
Yeah.
And then you put that in any kind of container where, it can be like an old used plastic container that you got lunch meat in or something like that. Whatever fits in your shim. And you can put that in like a big old sugar cube. And the apple cider vinegar, if you'll talk to Kent Williams, it actually it does something to makes the bees process it better or something like that. I forget what it was.
Yeah, Humberto and the Inside the Hive TV did a thing about actually spraying a vinegar spray on some of the bees. Somebody had made some observations, but back to the sugar blocks here real quick. I'll take the sugar mix like you're talking about there, Charlie.
Yeah.
And I put it in a 1-inch brownie pan.
There you go.
Lay it out flat, and then take a spatula and just cut it into whatever size cubes you want, and it breaks off easy. Now, here's the fun part of that. You can actually keep that. That'll keep for like an entire year. You can use it over the winter, or if you want to, you can take those sugar blocks and just mix them with water and give them to the bees in the spring as the syrup.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, so you got that option there too.
It's just like this here hard candy. I happened to have an extra one, and it was brown looking because that was our first one we did, and we didn't know what we were doing. We should have put the water in first, and then you add the sugar as it melts, not the other way around.
Ooh.
Kind of burnt that sugar a little bit. And I didn't want, if you do that, if it caramelizes, it can kill your bees.
Yeah.
And so I said, I ain't putting that on any of my hives. And they were looking for some feed in the wintertime. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put it on a log over there and let's see what happens. Well, about 3 or 4 weeks later, they found that thing over there and they ate it all up. It was just clean as a I was surprised how, this stuff is rock hard and they can chew that stuff up and take it back to the hive. So
that's just amazing how they can do that. I've been looking at maybe next year making fondant bricks or, something like that. And the only reason for doing that is that then the sugar has a little bit of moisture in it. And the bees need a little bit of water in their hive to use their honey stores that are in the frames. So that's the thought process behind that.
I don't know. I can buy fondant here for like club says my club will go out and buy a pallet and it's like $30. The last time I think we bought it was $32 for a 50-pound block. And I don't know. It's messy and sticky.
Oh yeah. If you got the wrong moisture level, I've seen that stuff ooze. It's kind of like
it'll ooze, I actually found out I had a lady give me some of it because she went out of beekeeping.
Yeah.
And I put it in the freezer. So then I set it out of the freezer and let it thaw it out. And it wasn't quite thawed out. And I said, okay, I got a serrated knife. And I could actually saw that stuff a lot easier being semi-hard.
Oh, wonderful.
And made little, strips, quarter or half-inch thick strips that you could lay on the hive. But I don't know. For me, I like my liquid sugar. I'd rather just put a top high feed around and go along there and flip the switch.
If you're in the climate where you can get away with it. Now, Bob.
When I do it, come end of September, I start feeding about the week after Labor Day. So they can dry it down, even though it's 2 to 1. And I'll pour it to them and till they quit taking it for the most part. And so after that, they're full. They will get to the point where they just won't take anymore because they don't have any more room.
I did that. I didn't even harvest my honey till basically after the winter.
Was there anything left?
Yeah, I was able to when it started. Well, you know how we had our mild winter anyway.
But, right.
So they had a lot left, so I was still able to pull honey and extract it and sell it. But my thing was just like you were saying with the bricks. I had bricks on mine too, it wasn't that they needed it, is that I needed them not to die. So I wasn't willing to risk them dying.
Yeah.
Is that
So-
like insurance?
Yeah, it was just
Yeah, it's
insurance.
cheap. Fred Dunn has complained a couple times about people putting well, not complained, but he doesn't use pollen patties in the spring, and I brought up to him. I says, well, pollen substitute is cheap compared to replacing your hive. If it's just if it's so much rain and whatnot that they can't get out and the brood collapses, which is pretty rare. So it's kind of nitpicky on my side of the fence. But Bob, you were using bags of sugar for feeding your hives.
Well, I did a combination. I made the bricks, right? So I got a bunch of those like bread pans. Yeah, I move around a lot. I've got a problem with my sciatic nerve. If I sit in one spot too long, my whole leg will go numb, fall asleep. So I keep rocking. That's why I always rock. It's not that I'm agitated. I'm just trying not to have my ass fall asleep while I'm in the
You
chair.
got to go from one cheek to the other.
Yep. So I took a bunch of bread pans, right, and I just filled them up about halfway with sugar, moistened sugar, and then just kept stacking them up, and then they compress each other and dry out, and then I use them as blocks, and I did that, and then when I ran out of that, I'd put a paper towel in and pour some like campfire method, but yeah, I mean it worked. And then if I had any left over in the spring, I'd throw it in the 5-gallon pail and start mixing water with it and feed it back to them.
Well, the reason I brought it up was that I remember years ago I saw a guy up in Man Lake, up in Minnesota here. They were taking their fondant and putting it in the bags and then just making a couple slits on the top. So that took care of the runny side of the thing. That's the only reason I'm bringing it up.
Yeah. Well, I did that with the pollen patties that I made with the peppermint in them. And I think I'm going to do that from now on. My pollen patties, I'm not putting them in parchment paper or wax paper anymore.
I think
because that actually stops it limits the access the hive beetles can get to it.
Right. But you don't get that under the frame feeding of the pollen. I don't know how you're letting them in.
I cut a square out of the bottom of the baggie.
Oh, never mind.
So they can get to it from the bottom a little bit.
Oh, that's how they do with those new products with what's it called?
Hive Alive.
Hive Alive.
That's where I stole it. I'm like, well, if they're doing it, I can do it. With the baggie. And,
exactly. One thing that's driving me nuts about the Hive Alive fondant thing is that they do put thymol in there, and I had several hives that were really stressed this winter, and people confuse that with Nosema. It's just a crap load of bee poop in there, but something about thymol, and I can't remember exactly how it works out, but basically it's kind of a gut cleaner too for the bees. So I want to screw around with a couple of my hives, and when I'm feeding them, I can't remember what it was that Bob Binney recommended. It was like Pro Health or something like that, and that has thymol in it, and that's what I feed my bees with a couple rounds in the fall when I'm trying to top them off, Charlie.
Well, I used that Pro Health my first year, and I had one colony that just got dysentery. Like they were shitting there. There was shit all over the front of their hive, and it was terrible.
Yeah, no, Ian Stepler just calls that being stressed. And, and I asked him once about that. I said, what do you do if you see any signs of potential nosema? And he gave a 3-word response: let them buck. And anyways, yeah, I don't know. There's all sorts of reasons for bee diarrhea. I mean, who knows?
That was the only colony I had that had it, though. The rest didn't.
And I mean, around here they talk about nosema, that having bee diarrhea is not nosema. So I don't know.
No. If you start seeing things like K-wing and whatnot, you get a little bit more of an indicator. Until you squash the bees, you don't know. But
right.
I don't know. Lee, you're sitting there being awfully doggone patient. Can I get you a beer?
Nah, I'm just checking out the screens here, all the comments.
Yeah.
Well, what about tea tree oil in your feed.
I've done a little bit of the tea tree oil, peppermint oil, and wintergreen in the sugar water before, and that seemed
I've
to
done
help
that in the
pretty good.
past. I
I
kind
did.
of quit it here lately.
Yeah, I did that the first year, and then I stopped it. And I mean, they did better. No, I'm not saying anything against doing that. What I'm saying is, in my specific case, my bees did much better the second year when I didn't use it than when they did the first year and I used it.
I
I
never really
think mine
understood.
did better last year when I used it versus this year when I didn't. But like I said, I was on 712s. They started populating and swarmed on me.
Oh, see now the tea trio is something I've never really quite understood because I actually use that to treat surface mites on some of the cats I rescue. If they have a sore that I look at and it's got a mange mite, I actually put that on there, and then him with ivermectin too. So I mean, what does tea tree oil do as far as the bee's gut? And what I've never heard anything about that, but if it's working for you there, Lee, what do we have? If you set a pollen patty on top of the frames, on top of pushing cage, then the beetles will not lay the patty. Use a feeder shim also. There's a lot to that. I'm not certain what the correlation is. Okay, so on top of a push-in cage, does a push-in cage have a queen in it? And if that's the case, then they're going to be the nurse bees are going to be cleaning that really good and use a feeder shim.
I use a feeder shim, but if I put pollen typically if I put a pollen patty on, it's getting hive beetles. It doesn't matter if it's in between frames, if it's smashed down flat, and it's where they can. It doesn't matter. There's beetles and beetle larvae.
Right. So you limit the size of your patties to put on there, not give them the chance. Let the bees consume it.
That was my thought process. Put them half pound at a time in a sandwich bag. I cut an access in the bottom and slits around the side, but the top and the bottom are primarily covered in sandwich bag. So they have to work. The bees have to work to get in it, and so it doesn't have any hiding place.
Oh, yeah. See, that's important too. I mean, you don't want to. Oh man, I can't remember who it was. I know it was Mr. Ed. Jeff was talking about. He doesn't even take the lids off his doggone bees because the hive beetles all get pushed into the corners of the inner covers. He says that's fine. They'll leave the doggone things there.
Right.
Yeah, on the top of the frames, he said they'll make what they call like corrals, like
basically
two little walls, and they trap them up in there. And when you open that lid, it just releases it.
Hey, James, you're talking about using super direct feed microbials this year. I wanted to throw something up at you guys, and this is probably more directed at him or anything like that. If you have something new treatment that you're going to try in any of your bees, pick only 10 or 20% of your hives to try it. Don't put them on all at once, just in case something blows up on you.
I blew my own self up this year making those early splits. I set all my colonies back.
Oh, I got tired of watching your videos. I mean, it's just how much, what did you bring in there? What's a pickup load of nukes? And they're all in the, I'm watching this. I'm going, see, I'm not going to be getting my replacement nukes until probably the end of May now. And I don't want to talk to Bob anymore.
Well, I just had the planets aligned. One guy had I was looking through Craigslist. The first guy was like, he does swarm removals. So he needed to free up some of his equipment to go capture more swarms. And he said, hey, I'm selling these. If you bring me 5 frames, I'll sell you nukes at $125 a piece. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll buy everything you got. He says, well, I think I might have 3 that are ready to go, or 4. And then when I got there, he's like, no, I only had 3. And he said, one of those I don't even think has a queen. So I'll give you,
that's right. Yeah.
I'll give you 3 for $250. I'm like, sold, because I knew I could go home and drop eggs in there and make a queen. So I wasn't too worried about that. Right.
Yeah. That's James is right up there jumping with you, man. That's
kind of hard to pass that deal up.
So, but then when I was going through the colonies, all 3 of them had queens. So I've just let them go. And then I went back there. I went to Blythewood Bee Company, and they had nukes that people didn't pick up. And I said, well, how many do you got? Okay, I'll take 5 of them. So, that's when the truck had the 5, and those were like nukes on steroids. They were so
that's what
slammed
that
with
was.
bees.
Yeah, those were full. Those are boxes of bugs.
And, the next day I went out and took the inner cover off, and bees were on 10 frames. They were on every frame in the box, drawing comb up. I found 3 queens out of the 5. The other 2, I either haven't found them. I haven't seen any eggs. So I don't know. So I didn't squash the cells in there. So I'm letting them, if they're going to make a queen, they're going to make a queen.
Hey,
and
Jim.
we're going to let it go. So,
I
went.
How many hives you got now, Bob?
I had 32, but I took one of the nukes and dropped it into that one colony that was struggling. So I've got 31 right now. I came out of winter with 12.
Good.
So,
well, that'll hopefully give you some. I don't know whether you're going to get the honey out of it this year, but at least you got the equipment to take care of all that.
Well, now the problem is going to be late season splits and having the equipment for that. So,
you had a whole.
I got the nukes. I got
full of boxes there.
But keep in mind, like I said, I had 12 coming out of winter. I bought 25 deeps, and now I'm at 31, right? So most of those have been used. I still got some, so I bought bottoms and tops the other day. The bottom and the so he's using a push-in cage to put his pollen patty behind it and push it in, so they can eat it off the.
No, I don't quite get that, because unless the nurse bees can more easily police it, which is probably what's going on. I mean, the beetles will crawl up right on those wires, so I'm guessing it just lets them police a little bit better. That's really interesting, Mark.
Mm.
Well, let me ask you this. 3 or 4 years ago, they were tearing up some pollen patties here. And the last 2 or 3 years, they haven't really, they touched them, but not tremendously. And do you guys get a lot of pollen early or not?
We do.
We do.
I do, but it's all from the bog behind me, and I can actually, my hive's going to get pollen bombed. In fact, it's funny you should mention that. I don't want to change subject, Charlie. Just keep going there. But I want to get a couple pollen traps and mix with my Ultra Bee for next year. So if you guys got any great pollen traps on that. But Charlie, what were you going to get to as far as the pollen coming out?
I don't know. I've kind of, it's like you're throwing that, you'll get to the point where fresh pollen is coming in and they won't touch them pollen patties. No. I put a big patty, and I only put like maybe a little 1/4-inch strip, a quarter of a patty.
Well, what I've been using mine for, like when I got those nukes, and they had 5 solid frames of brood in there, I went ahead and dropped patty on it, and I didn't know if they were going to eat it or not, but they tore it up. It's all about.
In that situation, you're trying to grow fast, and they didn't have any resources, probably because they didn't have a lot of field force.
Well, they didn't.
And anyway, I don't know. Up here, we get a lot of pollen, and that's just like I'll tell people. I said I'll be ripping, and when I go through like these hives, if I find you'll get several frames of pollen in there, and it might be covered. I yank them darn things. I said, you're just taking space. And if there's honey left over, which is sugar-run honey, I'll pull all them frames out except for maybe 2 in a box, and just make sure they have some food. And I'll freeze the rest of that. And the pollen, I've gotten to the point here this year. They might have all them nukes maybe took 10 pounds, which is a section of a 40-pound box, and
it's 1 gallon.
Huh?
It's 1 gallon of pollen sub in the bottom of those make right measurable 5-gallon pails. That's 10 pounds.
I think you guys all got one thing in common there. It's and this is more of a problem for me up north here and whatnot. and that's that if we've got a week here where the bees are not going to fly, and Ian too up in Canada, he'd do the same thing and lay it down there, and it's for those weeks so you're not getting that what's it called when they reduce themselves by harvesting their own larvae. So it's probably
they're going to cannibalize the larva.
Yeah, there's a name for reducing.
But now you're up there, what, Michigan, on the lakes?
East central Minnesota.
Oh, you're up there in that freezer box state.
Yeah, Lutefisk and Lefse, Rumagrat and Cream, Hayfield, Highfield, that's our team. So, hey, I got to give Jim Hamby a little bit of crap here. I think he had a swarm trap behind a garbage can. Was that right, Jim? And they moved in. I still haven't figured that one out. That's and Dave Watts, man, you got good news there. I gotta go check the laundry here.
Yeah, he had those. He got nukes from over there where I got mine from. He said all 4 brood frames had swarm cells on it. So did mine. He said he split it in 4 boxes. Never found a queen with so many bees. She finally swarmed. So I went from 1 nuke to 5 hives, assuming they all come back. Yep. Yeah. I could have done that, but I knew the condition of my other colonies, so I squashed a bunch of cells, except for the ones that I couldn't find the nuke in.
Well, what I was getting about feeding the pollen patties, I think I'm going to, feed what I have left for the next year or 2, and then I'm going to quit. I'm going to stop feeding pollen. I quit. I used to feed pollen powder, and they would go, just eat that tremendously. But then I started noticing in my hives that I'd have 4 or 5 frames of solid pollen in there. And, people say, oh, you took it out. I said, well, think about it. I says, as soon as fresh pollen comes in, they're never going to touch that frame. They want fresh because it's got the most minerals. And if it's natural pollen that they store from the previous year, over time, the nutrient value of that pollen diminishes greatly, and they don't get, the minerals and nutrients out of that stuff as like it was when it was fresh, and they'll just ignore it and everything. So that's what I'm going to do. I think there's enough. We get a tremendous amount of pollen here, pretty early in March.
I think I may have cut up 2 or 3 pounds of pollen patties this year and just kind of distributed between the hives.
Yeah.
But they, like I said, they started building up. Then I started working more hours. They swarmed. Now, last year I fed more pollen patty and they built up real quick. This year, late January, beginning of February, I put the winter patty on.
That's right, Lee. I mean, another thing is you're kind of creating a problem when it comes to, you give them all this pollen and then they build up. And when you get busy working or whatever, now you got swarm issues because you created that issue.
Pollen-bound swarms, it's a reality.
So I mean, that's another thing I've been thinking about is like, all right, when I first started out, everything was about Honeybee Healthy. When then Honeybee Healthy, I used to buy it by the gallons. It got up over $100 a gallon, and I'm like, the heck with this. And then I did watch one thing that Frederick Dunn did. He did that one experiment about 5 or 6 years ago.
Where you had all the jars next to each other?
Yeah, had all them jars, and guess which one went out, went dry first? It was pure old sugar water. Yeah. And then he had Pro Health. I tried that. The bees hate that stuff. That is, and in his experiment, that was the least amount of actually, drank or.
It was the slowest to go out, right?
Huh?
That was the one the one with the Honeybee Healthy and stuff, and it was the last one they.
Yeah, I mean, it was like sugar water was 100% taken out, and then I'll say 50% on the Honeybee Healthy was taken out, and there was like 75 or 80% of Pro Health left. And they said, "Well, the heck with this crap," and I could tell it when I was feeding it. They didn't like that stuff.
It's funny.
Luckily, I didn't buy much of it. I just bought a little bit of it,
Yeah. The Honeybee Healthy, is that the Man Lake stuff?
No, it's actually made over here in West Virginia. And actually, it's made in Maryland, in Western Maryland. It's not too far around Frederick from my house.
What am I thinking
But
of?
you
What's the
can't
Man
buy
Lake?
it direct. You got to buy it from, Man Lake or somebody. But I
Okay.
been buying that years ago, and I think with the pollen thing, I think I'm going to. I do know I sell nukes, but it seemed like to me, with the natural coming in, that they will build up fast enough for I can sell them and all. So
Now, if I wouldn't have had all them extra hours this year for work, I think I'd be doing real good right now as far as my bee population, being able to make the more splits that I had.
yeah.
Hmm.
That's like I say, this past week, that's the first time I really ever took off from work. And I said, hey, I gotta, it's been cold and it's been sleeting and snowing, and it was a roller coaster ride around here, and it still is somewhat. It's kind of calmed down now, but it's like I knew if I didn't get out there and get that done, and then those 3 or 4 days we had, those bees would be in the trees.
Yeah, that sounded.
I did. Got the money out of them. Huh?
That sounded really, really strong. That's hey, Jim, looking forward to seeing what you do with your first bees there. That's going to be fantastic. I know you got warm weather there, but I'm assuming that you have all undrawn comb. I can't remember if you were going to use frames, or I think it was frames. But do a trickle feed of syrup on there. Just help them build the wax up for those new frames. It'd be really interesting to see how big that swarm was. I looked at that video of this swarm trap behind a garbage can next to the house, and I thought he's had him up in the shed. I don't know. My hat's off to you, Jim. That's just hilarious.
Yeah, give them like some 1-to-1 or 3/4 to 1. Help them build that comb out fast.
He's talking about the 3/4 to 1. Yeah.
Yeah, I caught a swarm. I got a friend of mine. It was, what was it, Friday? Yeah, he stopped by and said, hey, and he's just across the field from me, and it was right here. He just walk up to it, and there it was. But it was like 2.5, 3 pound swarm, and I went up there with a jester box with some 5 frames of brood comb in it, and just held it up there, and they all kind of went on in there, and then shook the little branch. But I went back a day or two later because I gave them some juice too, some sugar water, and don't know if they didn't pack up and leave. I don't know what the deal was. That I was trying to see where they had a queen, but they didn't seem to like my house, so they went away. And I said, all right.
Well, I'm going to apologize, Jim, that for some reason I missed you on the subscription list, but I got you subscribed now and notification set, so I got you now, brother.
Oh, good.
Apologize for not getting it sooner. I try to keep up with everybody, but gets kind of. And I saw Dry Cut just had a new video come out 11 minutes ago.
Yeah, what was that?
It says Micro Swarm with Micro Queen. So I have to check that out.
So probably a secondary swarm, smaller swarm with a virgin queen. I'm just guessing.
Oh, I got called for a monster swarm the other night. It was a monster.
Was that the one that was an hour away?
It was 30 minutes each way drive, right? So I get there, and there's like 300 bees left they're just like flying around the trees. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Oh, yeah, well, yeah. I started cutting some branches, and they started flying. And I was like, really? You didn't call me and tell me you didn't notice like this 50,000 bees were flying around over your head? You couldn't call me and tell me they were leaving? Or
well, that's the funny thing too, because if people aren't used to swarms, they're like, well, maybe they're just taking a vacation. It's a good indication when you get there, and there's a little sign hanging underneath the swarm that says thanks for coming.
Yeah. Well, she told me that picture she sent me was actually taken at like 12:30 in the afternoon. And she didn't even call me till 5 in the evening. And by the time I got there, it was 6:15. And it was like, yeah, they took off. And so I did leave a swarm trap there in case there's a cast off swarm or something that comes back in the next little bit. But that was a pretty big swarm.
Let me ask you something right quick. The other fellow was about putting up videos. is how do you get when you're putting up a video and they'll say, well, up here on your left-hand side of the screen, you can go back and watch part 1 or something like that. How do you get them? How do you do that?
Ask
you
your cards.
Huh?
Cards.
Cards?
Are you still letting your software upload your videos for you?
No,
are you doing it?
I did it like you all said. That's the way to go. And I got that TubeBuddy and
Yes.
then I learned about your channel tags.
Yep.
A tutorial, and I put all that in. And then here lately, I figured out this thing about when you upload, do you want to share it with Facebook? And I'm like, And I said I was looking at.
You should, because it shares it to your Facebook, and then your Facebook friends that don't know you have a YouTube
well,
channel.
I was like, I seen like Castle Hives and Bohemia Bees, which is a friend of mine over in Maryland, and he had a nice, looks really cool looking, display to click on. And I did that, and then okay, that's how you do it. And then I went ahead and I quickly learned that you can share to all the other Facebook bee related channels or whatever you want to call them, pages, to all the and that really helps on your subscriber list.
It helps people find you for sure.
Yeah, well, in 7 weeks I've got 95 subs right now.
Now, Charlie, you seen when you were uploading videos, it has like you can do an end screen to where you can put little like subscribe here, watch the next video at the end of your the one that you uploaded.
Yeah.
If you look, it'll say cards, and that's when everybody's pointing to the top left.
Okay.
Now, what software is that, Lee? That has cards in it?
No,
That's on YouTube.
YouTube Studio.
Oh, it's on YouTube. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like Daisy's comment here, Daisy Honey, about getting called for swarms, and it turns out they're hornets' nests.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, when they send you a picture, they zoom it in so it looks like really huge, and then get there and it's like a little grapefruit hanging on a tree. I'm like,
well, that was
the branch and drop it on the box.
That's like the neighbor came down Friday evening, just getting off from work. Oh, it's this big, and it's like a swarm that's 6 foot hanging down 6 foot,
Right.
And I get up there and there's this little itty bitty. I'm like, is that that's the big deal,
Yeah, I've had people call me up in the fall, and there's some bees on a hummingbird feeder, and they said, well, it looks, I don't know if they're swarming or if those, my favorite one is, are these your bees?
Yeah.
Well, in all fairness, I live in a peninsula, so odds are they are,
Right.
Hey, Bobby's bees, how are you? Where are you located there, buddy?
But the thing is, this swarm, they're like, when I said, well, how big was it if you could guesstimate how big? Of softball? Or they're like, no, it was more like a beach ball. I said, yeah, that's about what I thought it would look like in the picture too. And man, I got over there as quick as I could get over there after I'm loading boxes in my truck and getting the pole and bucket and the ladder and everything together and get over there. And there's just a couple hundred bees flying around in the tree, scout bees,
Yeah, it was just little foragers coming back after the rest done left you, huh?
You done left them, yeah. But you know what? They did start checking out the swarm trap like right away. And I was hoping that maybe if they're, a secondary swarm or something would come to it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Worst case, I'm out a 5-gallon bucket in a swarm commander lure.
Yeah. And that's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, it's not too bad. He's in Southwest Virginia.
Ah. Okay. So what? Can you see him from there?
Dude. The South, let me see, 10-4. Let me see. Got it.
Whereabouts in Virginia, Bobby? You down around Tennessee area or where?
And let's see. Keep getting
Hey, William had a little thing here. He might want to check with you, Bob. He downloaded the DaVinci.
Says his
It won't
computer
run.
won't run it.
Good luck, buddy.
I don't know why you guys have such a problem with Da Vinci. Da Vinci.
Oh my God.
If I'm not mistaken, don't quote me, but I think he might have been the one that had the Chromebook. Is that right, William?
Oh, maybe.
And I think Chromebook, they really don't like have a built-in hard drive. You have to be online, and your hard drive is stored in Google.
That could be it. I mean, for me, it's just the same. It's pretty. He's near Kingsport, Tennessee.
Yeah.
The
I like
with-
going down there to Floyd, Virginia and doing some with music and stuff like that. That's close. Well, it's not close to Kingsport, but it's getting there.
Oh, he has both. He said
Yeah.
with Da Vinci. I mean, once it downloads, it's pretty simple for me. It's just file, pick your clips out of wherever you got them saved, and add them to the project, and then you just drag them to the line and clip them.
I did all that, but like the transitions, I could not get. It's like, okay, I want a shorter or longer transition time.
Yeah,
And
you go to you go down to the transition and you right click it and it'll say add a 14 second or 14 frame, 30 frames, 60 frame, 120 frame transition. When you right click it, gives a drop down.
I guess I should have tried to use it. I mean, it's free. It wouldn't have hurt to try, but I've got Adobe Premiere Pro.
I'm using Filmora 11. It's $90, but it is more logical, user friendly. I'll say where you think you need to like.
He's called me illogical. You hear that?
Whatever. I don't know. I mean, it was more what I'm used to.
Right.
And they compare themselves to that iPhone movie or something like that, which is supposed to be relatively easy, I guess.
Well, I've used a couple different software. I've used that Sony Studio or whatever. I've used that before.
Oh yeah, I've got that. Yeah.
The first video editing I ever tried was the Corel Video Studio Pro.
Oh.
I mean, it was okay, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's things about Filmora that I don't particularly care for, or maybe I don't know how to do. Is where there was like some of these videos I'm just going to start putting down here. Is that there was some noise, a pop, like where like you hit something, with your mic or whatever, and it's like, okay, I want to go into I know that Da Vinci you could do this, I think, where you could go in and just delete that pop sound and not delete your video. Whereas Filmora seems like to me, I've got to cut the video to get the sound out. And it's like, I know I can detach the sound clip going across, but it's like, okay, I want to reattach it, and I haven't figured out either. Mm-hmm. I'm still figuring it all out, but
and Lee's
it's just a lot more user friendly here lately.
Yeah. And Lee's
I did the One Hive thing about keyframing. I figured that out, how to do that, and I was trying to do some zooming here recently, and I figured it out for the one movie, but I haven't done it enough to remember how to do it again, and that kind of stuff. So, or it didn't seem to work well for me. But anyway, that's I just wanted to do that one question about it, like where they say, click on the thing up here in the right-hand corner or whatever. And,
I think I found a way to modify Ian Stepler's waggle dance lesson to the kids.
Oh, this ought to be good.
So he's using Skittles, and I'm thinking, okay, Skittles are good. However, you got to figure if you got Skittles, kids are going to be putting their hands in it, then they're going to go sit down, and all these kids are putting their hands in a bowl of Skittles. It's probably not too going to be too user friendly for considering all the Corona stuff and health issues. Okay. So
what's your idea?
So I went with Starburst, right? So they're all individually wrapped, right? So when the kid goes to get the Starburst, but it's not going to be fair because the first person you go to, every time they go, they're going to get more Starburst. So whoever's last is only going to get like one Starburst. And the person that happens to be the first person is going to get like 50 Starburst. So I think since they're a colony, right, and the colony shares all the hive's resources, that they should go and have to do the waggle dance and fly back and put it in a separate bowl for the whole class. And then at the end of the lesson, they'll all divide it up. We'll divide it up and everybody gets an equal amount of Starburst.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, you can do that. But say to go back to dry cut here. I was trying to find I loved the Adobe Premiere. It's just bloody fantastic. But yeah, dry cut says life isn't fair. I was thinking the exact same thing, guy. Life is not fair.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it isn't, but
yeah. But there's back to the video thing here, real quick. I think you got a great idea, Bob. By the way, the stuff that I'm using, the shot cut, it's one word. And there's a fellow I just brought up here. Bill Knows Stuff is the name of this guy's channel. It's so bloody simple to make your videos, and it takes you through just making a basic video and doing just basic mergers and whatnot and balancing some. It's pretty doggone simple, and so just to help dry out here a little bit there. So that's all.
Well, and when you get really good, which I'm not really good, but when you get really good, you could actually use multiple softwares and like make a clip in this other software and then import it into another software to comprise everything and make transitions and do what you want to do as well.
You can kind of do that with Adobe Premiere because you can go into After Effects and do certain animation type stuff and then bring it back into Premiere Pro.
That is such a great package. It's pricey, but man, it works. And then
it's pricey, but I mean, with the power you get with it, because like the sound that Charlie was having, you can transfer your sound over into Adobe Audition, do any sound adjustments you need, and then it automatically syncs it back to your Premiere Pro.
Is it hard to learn, Lee?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a lot to do. Put it like I said, I've got 3 monitors here, and one program, all the different little windows just in one program will fill up all 3 of my monitors.
Yeah.
And 2 of these are 32 inches.
Yeah, I don't know. I like to say I like my Filmora. Well, of course, I'm learning it better and learning like shortcuts, and by accident a lot of the times. And generally, it does quite well for me. Yeah. So and I'll probably maybe get better at that and maybe go into another type of software program. My biggest problem is my computer. I don't have enough RAM. I don't think. I only got 16 gigs, and I should have about.
Oh, that's plenty.
Well, how old?
That's good.
That's actually plenty. Here's
I'm only running 16 gigs here, and this is a 9-year-old laptop.
Really?
Yeah. So Charlie, I'll let you in a little secret here. The amount of RAM has nothing to do with doing video work. It's all CPU intensive.
CPU and the GPU.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. If you have a slow video card, they'll screw with you too. But no, I kind of got an insight on this one though because I have a friend of mine, Casey Dame, who's made a bunch of really terrible movies doing special effects like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, won an Academy Award, all that kind of crap. We sit down and render these videos, and when we were first starting out, this is before he was picked up by those folks. It literally hang a sheet of paper from his computer saying "Don't touch," and it was just processing time. The CPU just takes a long time. Don't worry about your 16 gig. That's a roundabout way of saying you got plenty. That's not the issue.
Well, I've got an i7 hard drive. Our processor.
If you have an i7, that's perfect. And if you have an i7 with 16 gig, I'm willing to bet your video card is pretty good too. Leon.
That's where when I would set up a new machine. When I'm buying laptops, I used to. Well, actually, I do have like a Microsoft certification, and all that stuff back in the day. But I used to build the computers and all full with that kind of stuff when it was all brand new to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And so when I usually set, spec one out, I'm always best processor and a fair amount of RAM. But up until now, I don't, why do I need a fancy dancy video card? Well, because you don't do any gaming anymore. And
Well-
like in
well,
the,
Well, Lee, go ahead and take that one.
Well, with a if you're using a laptop and it doesn't have a dedicated graphics card, you got what they call an APU. So an APU shares your graphics and your CPU, your computer's processing are sharing one processor. So while you're rendering the video and everything else running on your computer
Mhm.
is using the same stuff. So
Yeah,
it
it's gonna
does
be a
slow
lot
it down
slower.
some.
Yeah, because I got to put it on half speed. I think there's a selection on my I think where you could half speed it or something, and it makes it a little more smoother. But the problem I have is when I'm watching the video and it wants to go from a transition, it kind of it doesn't
Jerky, so-
transition real smooth. So I know, or I'll hear a faint, GoPro stop recording. And I'm like, I just deleted that. Why is it still in there?
Now,
Right.
like when I had my other system set up next door before the flood, I had a Blade server, so it had basically
Oh my
10
goodness.
it had 10 servers in one rack, and each one of them had 2 processors. And I'll show you a quick little picture of what I had.
Yeah, you had they call those rendering stations.
Yep.
That's bloody fantastic. Holy smokes.
Each one had 32 gigs of RAM and was running a 3.2 gig dual
What were you doing with that,
3.2
Lee?
gig processors.
How'd that happen that you ended up with that?
I bought the rack online. I think I paid maybe $200 for the server rack, and I mean it was a full 42U server rack. I built it into the wall.
What were you using for an operating system in the whole stack?
Windows.
You
I
were.
did running straight Windows on it.
So that just seems like something to be running Linux on or something like that. I mean,
I
It's been-
thought about it, but I ain't had a whole lot of experience with the Linux.
Now, Jim there, he talks about using his iPhone. Well, when it came, back in the day, iPhones and Apple products were devoted towards graphics.
they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
And they were the go-to machine when it came to video and editing and all that kind of stuff. And even out in Hollywood, that was their main deal. And I've been talking to a few people. I talked to actually a guy helped me today. He works for the government, does video and all that kind of stuff. And he said now PCs have kind of got on board, I guess you would say. And I think a PC and Apple is pretty much even now. But I mean, there's some diehard Apple people out there that.
I just find you're going to pay a lot more for that Apple product, though.
Yeah, well, that was
Ain't
one
no
thing
wrong.
that
They got some good ones.
my
They
friend
got a
said
price.
today that they solder everything in that board on an Apple where you can't put,
You can't upgrade it yourself.
nothing. They're trying to, squeeze you down to where you got to buy a new product every time you turn around.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this computer I've got has 64 gigs of gigs of RAM. Sorry, 64 gigs of RAM, and it's got a 3060 Ti. I think it's got 8 or 12 gigs of RAM on board of the graphics card. So
I think you're right there. That's probably my biggest down. Well, there's several. Like the one fellow there talked about a solid state disk drive for a hard drive. I mean, I've got 2 terabyte external hard drives for my. I put everything on those externals because they're SSDs, and that really speeds things up.
it
And the
does,
price
but
of
it's
those
still
drops down so much.
but it is limited by the throughput of the the USB to the SSD. So like
Yeah.
if it's USB
Right.
2.0 or 3.0, that does
Right.
bottleneck a little bit, but
Mm.
That's why the new computer that I was, I guess, configuring online and wanting to build, that's going to run about another $7,000.
yeah,
But I mean, that pretty
Oh,
much
man,
maxed
you
out
don't need
everything.
that.
I built this
I
computer.
don't need it, but I want it.
Okay. Yep, there we go.
Yeah, that's what I've got. I've got an NVMe drive as well, and here. So this computer I built, I built it myself, and it was parts for like $2,500 when I built it.
Dry. What do you mean your wife's MacBook is out of memory? You're talking about out of hard drive space. It's not going to be out of memory. Boy, there's a lot that we could do to give that guy a hand here. I'm not really certain what direction to go with it.
I'll tell you right point blank, I don't like a laptop for anything. They're good for business if you got to do something.
If you have to be mobile, that's the way to go.
Yeah, that's the only way to go for that. But for most stuff that I do at home, you can't game on it really because of the graphics and the heat issue. Even if you get a gaming laptop, the GPU generates so much heat that it just isn't very good.
The only reason I had this laptop, my other stuff, we had a flood in 2016, which I ain't even gonna go into that story. But this laptop, this laptop, I bought it. I think it was back in 2013, and the only reason I bought it, I was sitting at work bored, and me and Bob was talking about this a while back. But I decided to write a little book for my kids, and that's
wonderful.
He's
the
published.
only reason I got it.
Drop the link, man. People might want to see your book.
I'm trying to remember where it's at.
That. Hey, Drycott, you can pick up an external hard drive too. So, and by the way, you can go to pawn stores and pick up computers used. So that's another option there.
Or Facebook Marketplace is another place.
Thank you.
Well, Bob, you're talking about laptops versus, let's say, a tower or something.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you can add more stuff to it, or what?
Well, you're not going to get a very good graphics card in most cases in a laptop, and the heat dissipation. Other than that, the CPU and the CPU is fine. Everything else should be fine, but dedicated graphics card is one thing, and just their ability to dissipate heat is generally not very good.
Yeah, another friend of mine, he's a ex-engineer computer kind of guy, and I think he's got a CPU that's cooled by it's liquid cooled or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Mine's liquid cooled.
Yeah.
I got a radiator in mine.
Yeah, that's what he has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what? I went at me and a friend of mine I'll tell you when it was. It was 9/11. Right after 9/11, we went to Vegas to the Comdex convention, and that was the year that the PlayStation was coming out.
Right.
They were showing what they were going to do, and Microsoft, I think Gates was there, and he was showing where you could take a pen and write on a tablet, like a.
Oh, I remember that.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we went through all those different guys, and one guy had like you said, a water cooled radiator for the processor, and now that's pretty much commonplace.
Yeah, those were really pretty cool. That's then I ran into a couple of people, and of course, on occasion they leak.
Well, I hope mine don't leak.
No, and then you've got the Peltiers, which are basically electronic refrigeration. But there you go.
What's that? Our external hard drive?
External. I think this is a. I think this
4
is a
terabyte.
4.
I got
this
the
one
4
I think is
terabyte.
4.
I got the same one sitting right behind here.
And Seagate makes a 6 terabyte. You can Costco or Sam's Club usually sells these things for a little over $100, and you just plug it in. It's very similar to one of these, only it's got its own external power to it.
Actually, yes, a thumb drive will work if you get like a 64 gig USB thumb drive in. That'll do you too, and that you're right. That is extremely cheap. That'd probably be the first thing to do there if you want to try to just save money.
Well, it will store, but then you're still looking at that the speed that the hard drive
the bus speed, yeah.
So,
compared to another computer, do that because I know we're all on a budget to a different extent. So by all means, do the thumb drive and give it a shot there.
Here's what you were asking here, Bob, a minute ago. Go to Barnes and Noble.
Drop the link. Maybe somebody will spend $10 on a book.
Go to barnesnoble.com, and I'll just drop the Amazon link in.
Hell, I've got a 500 gigabyte hard drive just sat a drive sitting over on the desk over here.
So what's the book about? The children's book, Lee?
Yeah, tell us about
my
it.
kids going on their first camping trip by themselves.
Oh wow.
getting lost in the mountains and storm hits.
I'm gonna grab
Oh,
a
my
drink. I'll be
goodness.
right back.
That's pretty good. That's a nice thing. I like that.
Did you have somebody? Did they buy it? Did you publish it, or somebody else
Yeah,
published
I've done a self-published through that. And, well, it originally started off, I was just doing a little thing for my kids just to give them something. And it kept getting longer and longer. And my old lady said, well, just go ahead and try to get it published. Well, I told the kid, each one of them, I wanted them to draw a picture for me. I told them what I wanted,
Oh,
but I didn't
wow.
tell them what it was for. And I said, somewhere in that picture, I want real small, put your initials in there. And then I had those put into the book.
That's fantastic. That must have been a wonderful surprise to them.
Yep. I mean, it ended up, I think it was 176 pages.
Wow.
I mean, it ain't nothing big, but it ain't nothing small.
No. No, that sounds about perfect. Well, guys, I'm going to take off here. I'm going to go fold a bunch of towels and whatnot. That gets kind of boring.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah,
So,
I'm about to have to run
guys,
myself.
Lee, Bob, Charlie,
Yeah. See you later, man.
everybody else, what do you guys got going on this upcoming week here?
Well, you know, Tuesday we got Tuesday Night Live. Every Tuesday.
Yes, it's the Lee and Bob B show.
Yeah,
Bob
you know,
and Lee B.
it's funny though. I wish, you know, I'm really surprised. I'm happy and surprised. I mean, just look, we haven't been doing this, what, a month and a half maybe?
Yeah, roundabout.
So a month and a half, we've had Ian Stepler.
Did you
Six-
ask him to come on?
Yes, we did actually. Actually, Hillbilly Earl
Hillbilly.
asked him, and
Oh,
and I
wonderful.
sent him the link through Facebook, so to come on. And we had Ian Stepler,
Mr.
628. Yep, Mr. Ed, 628 Dirt Rooster, Yappy B Man, JP the B Man came on through on phone through Yappy. We've had Castle Hives, we've had Bruce's Bees. We've had, who else? Greg has been on from Nature's Image Farms. We've had Ricky Rourke. So we've had a few people hop in.
Now, Ricky is what the
Horizontal Hives.
bees.
what's the guy I seen? Let's see, who was it? Craig Burns.
Craig.
The Queen guy. Who was he? I mean, I know he was at Hive Life. Some kind of a queen breeder guy or something.
He does, I believe, nukes and packages.
Yeah, but he was, I don't know where he was
I
from.
think he does some queens too.
Yeah, he was heavily into the queens, genetics and all that kind of breeder type stuff. I had not heard of him as far as being a well-known queen producer, I guess you'd call it. No, so
Well, we all start somewhere.
yeah.
I need to start mine. I need to get some stuff going here.
That's what I was trying to do a while ago, right before we started live. I was trying to mount my Nikot system into the frame, but I told Bob I kind of lost my screws. Literally.
Jose, the California beekeeper. He hadn't been on this show yet. Jose hadn't. But maybe one day. But you know who did say they would come, and we just got to figure out how we're going to do it because he's in Europe, and when we go live, it'd be the middle of the night, is Black Mountain Honey. Lawrence.
Might have to work something out for a weekend early day for us. That way it'd be evening for him.
Right.
Or
maybe a
Brittany
Friday.
France, Richard Knoll,
I haven't asked Richard Knoll yet.
Rob Larabi.
Rob from the Robbies. I've seen him in the chat a couple times.
Yeah, I just hooked him up with a couple hives here last week.
Oh, Rob, did you see his new honey vending machine at the Amish market?
He had talked to me about that. He was working on that.
Charlie, I have a Timber King 2000 sawmill. What do you have for a sawmill?
I've got a circle sawmill. It's got a 20-foot, 6-head block carriage. and all that. It's a Montgomery carriage, which was made locally here. Actually, Montgomery here in close to Delta, Pennsylvania, he was the guy who invented the automatic carriage where the dogs come in and out and grab the log and all that kind of stuff. And the only problem he did was he didn't patent it before he took it to the fair way back when. And Frick Sawmill Company came along, took all these pictures after him inventing the wheel, you might say. And then he sued them. And from what I gather, the set works that's automatically that he had invented by pushing buttons. He had a 10-year, he won the suit, the fact that they had to buy his set works for 10 years.
Well, look at this.
He really didn't make it.
Robert said, Bob and Lee, I just wanted y'all to know I caught a swarm today with the first vial out of the Swarm Commander pack. Thanks again. Yeah, no problem. I'm glad you got it.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Hey, Robert, you must live in the deep, deep Alabama woods somewhere. For as much as shipping costs from South Carolina to Alabama with that thing, because the shipping on that Swarm Commander pack cost more than the Swarm Commander pack did.
That's right.
Mm. Well, like I said, that little roll of labels I ordered the other day, one roll, $17 shipping.
Oh yeah, hey. Lee let me astray, guys. Lee sent me down the path of destruction.
No, you just asked. I don't even know where I put mine. You just asked me what I had, and I told you.
I'm never buying this shit again. You know, we'll keep it real here. I'm never, ever, ever buying this shit again. So, you know, probably don't have. Yeah, okay. So I was printing my own little nutrition labels, right? And I'm like, oh, well, if I can just buy them on a roll pretty cheap, I'll go ahead and buy them. So I went to Daydant and ordered them. They sent me 500 individual stickers. So you have to peel the back off of these things to stick them on the jar.
What you were talking about.
Yeah, I'm like, no way, dude. Who wants to do that? If you had 500 jars to label, who's peeling these? Not me.
Lee.
I'll buy 500 rubber bands and stick them on the jar if they want them. Now I see why you say if they want them, if they ask for them, you'll give it to them.
Yep, I ain't sitting there peeling every one of them.
I thought it was going to be on a roll, like of 100, and you get 5 rolls. That's what I was thinking I was getting, but no, I got 5 100 packs of individual stickers you have to peel off.
I've still got 4 of those packs that's never been opened, and maybe only 10 of them out of the first pack ever used.
I got about 4 of them that ain't never going to get open.
I think I can't remember if it's Office Depot that we have in town here. But you can any of your labels, any of your stickers or whatever you can done, and if you give them enough time, they'll print them out on a roll for you there.
Well, check. Let me show you this while we're talking about labels and stuff. I know you said you had to go, but let me share this tab real quick. So this is how I do my labels. Screen share the screen again, Chrome tab, Avery Design and Print Online. All right. Add me in.
Avery. Okay.
So I design it here, right?
Yeah, I like that.
And I can have them print it, or I can print it myself. And then when you click print it yourself, it asks you, do you want to download it? And then you just download it to a PDF and print it from your printer with the label. And then you just peel the whole thing out, and it ends up looking like that.
Okay.
You know, goes all the way to the edge.
That's really nice. I like that.
So
Yeah, is it on Adobe like that? Because that's the problem. Do they have any templates, I guess you would call it?
yeah, so like you pick the sticker that you're going to use.
Yeah.
Like I use these oval 22 820s.
Yeah, about to say they'll have a little number in the corner of the pack. When you go online, click on templates and then enter that number, and it'll bring that template up for you in the designer.
And then
Well,
you just
I've been buying mine stuff from Man Lake. There's stock, one with it's got a skep on it and all that stuff, and then they print my name. But shoot, they want, I forget how much money for the labels, and then they want about the same amount of money to print my name on. I said, need to do this myself, make a label maker or something.
Well, see, I designed my own. I don't know how good you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I'd like to go to the clear ones there.
I designed them, and then I just have Better Be print them for me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was looking at Better Be doing that originally. I was going to show you my label here, but as far as sharing something, share slides. I don't have any slides. You have no slides. A video from slides. Your computer. Yeah, never mind.
So you hit-
I was about to say, if you open the picture on your computer and then you click share in screen, and it
Okay,
tell it you only want to share
let's
that
try
window.
and give that a run there. Share screen, and
You probably have to hit-
window. Here we go. There we go. Let's
If
try
you
that.
send it in, I can bring it up.
Yeah, give that a run.
yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, so we got all the raccoons here, and just seemed to be something fun to do.
I like
That's a
it.
good looking. See, you could take that file you've got right there
Yeah.
and figure out the dimensions of the label you've got,
Oh yeah.
and go to Avery and find the corresponding one, and then you can just import the whole picture over onto the Avery and print it from your printer.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
And I mean,
But I'd kind of like to go to the clear labels that Lee uses there too.
I'd like to find out what printer Better Be's using to make them, and just buy the printer and do them myself, though.
That's another option. Well, I'm going to call it off here. I think. God
yeah, we're
willing,
gonna have to get off.
We're gonna pull out the all the pine out of the kiln and start making those 50 supers. So
I
that's
thought you'd
gonna
be done with that already.
We are so stacked. Crying out loud, on Friday I was digging a grave, so it's just we take care of a cemetery up here too, so we're just busy, so
You say you have a kiln, you're drying lumber?
yeah.
What, are you in the lumber business too?
Yes and no. I've got a friend of mine that's a mile away alongside the lake here, and he's had that mill there for 32 years, and I go over there and I probably work there with him, I don't know, 4 or 5 days a week, give a hand. He's 79 years old, so it's if you look at any of my videos, he's the giant running the wood miser. That guy's what is he? He's almost 7 foot tall.
So you got a wood miser?
Wood miser, yeah. You name it, it's there.
What do you got, LT40?
I don't know. I really don't know what size it is. It's 22 years old, Charlie. So, I mean, if you looked at it, you could. I'm not even really certain how to share that with you. But we've also, this is kind of fun. We have a massive wood lathe from Ironworks in Japan that we got from Anderson Windows years ago, and yeah, so it gets crazy. It's really good fun. So
Yeah, I don't know. We bought a tub grinder. Well, actually, I went to Georgia and my brother bought. I got so much waste here it's bark and stuff that's falling off, and we bought I don't know what brand it is. It's a more bark tub grinder. So now it's used, of course, but trying to get rid of the waste.
we take all of our stuff and put it in the boiler, and that's what heats the buildings and the kiln and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, well, this is the bark and sawdust that kind of mixes, and it gets kind of like a compost. And
you get into kind of a weird area there, and you can't put that down in what other people might think. You really can't use it for much, I think, unless you throw it out back and dump a bunch of lime on it, and
yeah,
that'd help you if it ends up in your driveway.
You can't turn the bark into like mulch or something.
well, that's what we're going to try to do.
Yeah,
We just got a bunch of it. You need to process it down into something, and then we have a hog grinder where if we're doing pine, in pine and all our edgings and stuff here, but so we don't. I mean, what we do is I sell firewood. It's like the slabs off the sides along, and that kind
Hey,
of stuff.
DP, how you doing there, brother?
Turn your volume.
You're coming on just as I'm leaving, and nice to see you there. How's your weather there?
Hot.
It's hot here too.
Especially
Probably
the bee suit, which has been a good part of the day in, and the mosquitoes will carry you away.
Hmm.
Mm.
I couldn't do the bee suit today. It was a little too hot, so I did take one sting to the hand today, but one was better than 20.
My
Found out
butt-
something. Mosquitoes can bite through that suit.
My
Well, I
buddy,
found the bees can sting through it too, but
yeah,
it helps.
Yeah, especially if they get a good running start from Oklahoma.
right. My
My
buddy
back
came
is
over
covered.
today. My buddy came over today, and he was
Later, guy.
had one kind of flying around him, so he started the swat, and I said, "You don't want to do that."
No.
And he just keeps swatting. He's like, "Get away from me!" And that thing zapped him right on the forehead. So I told you.
I find if they land on your face, as long as you ain't slapping at them, they'll just kind of walk around and fly off. You go to swatting, and that's when they get mad.
Or they
Well-
drinking the salt.
Well, guys, God bless, and we'll probably talk to you on Tuesday.
All right,
Have
Mike.
a good one, Mike.
See you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Good night.
So you been out working the bees today, DP?
Yeah, I picked up a nuke yesterday at Texas Bee Supply, and I was late, and there were only two. I had Cordovans that I had ordered, and there were only two left, and it had like a big beard of the plastic nukes
Right.
that have entrance on both ends, the Pro Nukes, and there was a great big beard of bees on both ends. And I'd gotten one of those mesh bags to put it in my car, and they just bagged the whole thing up, and there must have been 4 pounds of bees, and the guy that was carried it to my car, he said, "That's the heaviest nuke I ever carried."
That's good for you.
I got it home, and the inside was packed.
Like mine were probably.
Yeah. And there were queen cells. There's queen cells all over the place.
That's what I was about to ask you. Did it have queen cells?
And well, I had a snafu. What happened was I had built a couple of boxes, or I had a deep, and I had built a bunch of the mediums because I'm figuring I need the mediums. And I went to grab the deeps, and when I picked it up, the corner came loose. And where I had stapled it, I had obviously run out of staples and didn't catch it. And
It's amazing how it looks like it leaves the indention like there's a nail in the wood or a staple.
So I've got this huge package, in the back of my car, my little roller skate. It's like it's a Chevy Spark.
Right.
Right.
My daughter's got one of them. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. My son's go-kart is almost bigger than that. And so I'm scrambling. I'm like, I thought I had everything ready. So I just grabbed a couple of mediums and set them on the bottom board. And I put the nuke in there. And I'm like, I'm going to have to do something with it soon. And so today I went back out there and I fixed the other box and put another one together. And I put them in 2 deeps. And it's not too.
All right, guys. So I got to get out of here too.
All right, Charlie. Well, you have a good one. We'll see you hopefully Tuesday night.
Okay, we'll talk to you later. We'll
Have
see
a good
how
one,
I get
Doug.
along.
All right. All right. Yeah, that's kind of my. I didn't do two deeps. What I did is because I'm trying to do single brood management. I put them in the in a 10 frame deep, and went back the next day and opened them up, and they were covering all 10 frames, both sides of every frame. So I put a super on them to let them start trying to hopefully draw comb out, make honey, stuff like that. So let me see. Jim said, what type of honeybees do you all have, Bob, Lee, and Charlie? Well, Charlie just left. I've got some Carniolans now. I've got some K12 Queens, which are like a Italian hybrid. And then I'm going to call my other ones that I've got Italian hybrids as well, because they're pretty much mutt bees from around here, but they do pretty good.
Pretty much all mine's Italians. I mean, once I get them, they breed with anything wild or whatever. Any of my walkaway splits, but where I buy from the local apiary, they have all Italians.
Well, I didn't sell as much as... Oops, sorry, go ahead. No, I was answering a question about honey, but go ahead, because we'll talk about the bees first.
So the two hives I had from last year that made it through were Minnesota VHS from Peterson Farms. The queens went through fine. I had one that was weak, and I just put a third 5 frame on top, and I've got 4 frames, 3 frames, and 1 frame of brood. And that was the weak colony. The other one's in a double deep. I got 2 packages of Italians from Mountain Sweet this year, 4 weeks ago. And I've got 5 frames out of 8 in 1 with a feeder, and 6 frames in 1 with a feeder of brood in those right now. And I've got to put another box on top of it.
Yeah, they're going to start
And then
exploding.
I have a Cordovan queen was what I bought yesterday. And she must be a hell of a queen, because she had a big bundle on either end of that net.
Laying it up. That's good. So I did not make as much today as Lee did yesterday. But with that being said, I didn't go to a festival either. My festival was my front yard.
We kind of got messed over on the festival and didn't realize it. They was doing another celebration in the city for that town's 100th anniversary. So everybody was on the other end of town at a big carnival, and we were doing another thing on the other end.
So what I got is I got $55 through Cash App, and then I got 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 20, 40, 60, 80, 200, 10, and that's 10 ones. So 220 and 55, 275 in about 3 hours of my front yard today selling honey.
Bad.
So yeah, I'll take it every day if I could get it every day.
Even if it's every other day, it's good enough.
Yep. Hey, it helps pay for my addiction. So my bee addiction has to slap the veins.
Yeah, I'm gonna let y'all hang out and do whatever y'all want to do. I got to get in the bed. 4 o'clock comes early.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to hop out too, because we've been going for 2 hours. DP, you waited too long.
Hey, I'm usually up at 4:30, so I have a 3 o'clock meeting in Europe.
Oh, okay. So it's like it's morning time for them. So you're up for the duration then. You're not going to sleep before your meeting, I take it.
Oh no, I'll go to sleep.
I'll
go to sleep. I catch a nap usually around 4:30, 5 o'clock. after my son gets home, unless he has to go to practice or something.
I'll tell you what, I'll hang out with DP and smoke this last cigarette, Lee, if you gotta check out.
Yeah, I gotta check on out of here. Well, I hope everybody has a good night, and thank y'all for coming. See y'all Tuesday.
All right, we'll see you later, Lee.
Amen.
Later.
God bless.
You too.
So you came through the winter with 2 colonies, and how many are you sporting now?
6.
That's not bad. Now you said you bought 2 packages and 1 nuke, so you made 1 split.
Yep.
Nice.
And it looks like I'm going to have to make a split. I did actually. I tried to record doing the nuke, but by the time I got suited up and I got everything set up and I got suited up, I didn't realize I was using my iPad, and I didn't realize you can't push the button on you can't push the record button.
Oh, really?
With your glove on.
Oh.
So I made like a minute. Well, yeah, I'm an amateur. I made like a 1.5 minute video, and then I made another longer video today when I did and I did find the queen, and she's in there, but they got queen cups, and one of them was wet. And as packed as that nuke is, I'm not sure if they're trying to swarm or if they're trying to supersede her.
Was it on the bottom of the frame, or was it on the up higher in the frame?
They're all up high and mid-range.
What?
So
queen cells or just cups?
Just cups, but one of them was wet. One of them had royal jelly.
What I did is I just went through mine and smashed it. That's because they had so many bees that were packed in those nukes. They were like getting ready to swarm or whatever. And so I went through and crushed mine, except for the ones I couldn't find the queens in. All right, Bobby, we'll see you later, buddy. But yeah, I mean, it just depends on what you want to do. I mean, I went through and smashed mine just because I wanted them to make that 10 frame box their home, and didn't want any dissension in there. So I smashed all the ones in the stronger colonies that looked like they wanted to swarm. And the ones that I couldn't find a queen in, I went ahead and just left the cells in. Now, if I go back tomorrow and find a queen, I'll kill them all, or I'll take that one frame out and make a split off of it, something like that.
This is only my 2nd year, and my speaker just went off. I don't know why it does that. So I'm not really very experienced, but
well, we learn. I mean, every day I'm learning something. I mean, I'm not that experienced either, guys. This is my 3rd year, so I just, that's why I like this chat format that we have here, where people can come in and talk. We have Charlie that's been doing it for a lot of years, and Mike's been doing it for a lot of years, and all different people coming in. And then we've got people that haven't been doing it that long, which is fine. And we'll just talk and chat and try to learn things that maybe we didn't know. And, have a good time, hang out, talk bees.
Yeah. And well, I'm not sure. I've got 3 queens coming, but it's a month out.
Right.
So splitting this one, I'm thinking maybe I don't want to touch them for at least 4 or 5 days, because they already have an attitude, because they got moved yesterday.
Right.
And then I went in there and shook everything up today. And so, man, they were flying around, and
yeah, those nukes I got tomorrow will be one week since I put them in the box. So it's
well, here's the thing. I put a feeder in them when I put them in yesterday, and it's a gallon feeder, and It was dry.
They drank it all the way down?
It might have had that much in the bottom of it. I mixed up another gallon, which I have a pitcher.
Right.
Which tells you I don't have a whole lot of hives. Used the pitcher with my little spoon and poured it in there, and it didn't overflow. So
Hey, did they have you noticed, did they start drawing comb out? Did you put foundation
yes,
in?
they have.
Went right to
There
it,
was
didn't they?
Yeah, I put an empty frame in there just as a spacer because I thought I had enough frames, but you know what thought did.
Mhm.
And I put that one in there, and I put another one in that I had in the refrigerator. I put it in the freezer back in November, December because of hive beetles,
Right.
and it had nectar and honey and some pollen. And I put that one in, and it only holds 8 frames. So I had that one and another drawn one, and they actually filled up both of those with the syrup, and they had drawn out comb on the side of the box and on the empty frame. It wasn't a lot. It's just a little bitty piece here and a little piece here and a little piece here.
But they're
They
drawing it.
they were drawing comb. So, and some of the frames that I put in there, you could see the white on the outside. So,
Well, they're working it up. That's
Yeah.
good.
and
That
I
means-
put another gallon in tonight. So
Yeah.
that would disturb them. And then I put some foundation in that empty frame because I only had 7, and put that in. So they got the 8 frames and a gallon of feed, and we'll see if they suck it down and start drawing comb on all that wax foundation I put in there.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
Put one
They'll start blowing it up relatively quickly because they need room for the queen to lay until that brood hatches out.
yeah.
So,
So
I mean,
for the best,
do you have another deep box, another 8-frame deep box?
I've got 4 that I haven't built,
When
and
you,
4 more mediums, and I've got mediums coming out my ears.
gotcha.
So, and I built two deep. I built 2 deep 5 frames and 2 medium 5 frames today. And I did frames that I had built. I put wax foundation in them,
Right.
and some were plastic from last year, which they just chewed the wax off.
Yeah, they'll do that. And that's why I keep a wax block in my pocket so I can rub it on there like a crayon, basically, and give them some wax.
Sorry,
Oh, no problem.
I was looking for mine. I have one that I made.
A wax block?
Yeah.
Yeah, they come in handy. So, yeah, I mean, with your situation, if there's that much brood in that box that you took from the nuke, I wouldn't. I mean, because you're running 8 frames, and one of those is taken up by the frame feeder, right? So
Well,
you got
yeah.
7, and you put in 1
That's
frame of stores, so they've only got 1 frame to really draw up, right?
Well, in the nuke,
Yeah. Well, didn't you just put the packages, or not the packages, but the nukes
Yeah.
into the 8 frame, right?
I put the nuke into 2 10 frames.
Oh, okay.
So they got 8 frames upstairs and they got 10 downstairs.
Yeah.
And it's wax foundation, and there's one plastic with wax on it.
I gotcha. I don't know if I mean, for mine, what I did is I didn't put a frame feeder in. I gave them a little bit of pollen patty when I put them in because they just didn't have any room in their frames for any stores like that, right? So they had a little bit of nectar and honey
Right.
stored around the outside, but it was all slabs of brood. So I put 5 blank frames in, and a piece of pollen patty, and they went right to drawing comb up right away. And then when I came back the next day and saw how much bee coverage I had, and I knew how many frames of bees that I had hatching coming up, I went ahead and put a super on them. to give them some more room. But it sounds like you went, you're going to a double. Are you running double deeps or singles? Are you planning?
The two bigger hives I have double deeps,
Right.
and that includes the nuke. That includes the nuke I put in yesterday. The two packages, they're still singles. The week I had like 3 frames of bees, and they had like 10 frames of honey and pollen back in November, and the hive beetles were just eating them hard. And
Right.
I put all those in the freezer, and I put them in a 5 frame, and she struggled. But now I put a third deep 5 frame on top, because she had 5 frames of brood in that top box, and 1 frame that they're drawing out.
Now
And
that nuke you didn't, or that 5 frame hive, you didn't think about moving them to a 10 framer or an 8 framer?
I did, but I don't have any 8 frame equipment. I bought the medium nuke boxes,
Right.
because I'm going to try out putting supers on. So our flow is from now until like the middle to the end of June. And tallow has sprouted, but it's not really,
Bloomed yet.
it hadn't bloomed, and it doesn't have flowers. It's
Right.
all green. But blackberry is almost over with. We still have poison ivy, and oh God, there's just oodles of poison ivy around here. And they love that. Don't tell anybody that buys your honey that they love
Poison ivy.
ivy bloom. Yes, they do. And no, it won't get you sick if you're allergic to it. I'm not allergic to it, so I can take it and rub it on my skin,
And it won't mess with
bother.
you. I got you.
So my son's the same way, but if he gets pine sap on him, he breaks out like his poison ivy. But
Right.
no, I'm trying to build them up, and with all the brood they have, this cat brood.
Well, if they've got 5 frames of brood, they're gonna have 10 frames worth of bees. At least minimum 10 frames worth of bees.
Well, I'm still feeding them, and there is a flow on, and they're still taking it, so it's not that big a flow.
Right.
And I ordered from Miller Bee Supply. I ordered another bottom board, along with the 2 deep and 2 mediums,
Right.
and I have another 5 frame bottom board and lid, so I have enough to do 3
Right.
nukes. And then I have the pro nukes. And so my plan is to try to build up whatever I can, and then next month, when my queens come in, which I
One
already...
thing you might think about doing, just an idea, is you could actually take brood. If you think you're going to get too full of bees in those 5 framers, you could take some of that brood out and put it in your new packages and stuff like that to help build them up. So just an idea.
That's an excellent idea, because I just want to, and I'm kind of torn whether I'm going to take, because I don't have any medium comb.
Right.
So got frames and I've got boxes, but I've never put on mediums because it's only my 2nd year. And so I'm kind of torn whether to try to just put a medium on top of the 2 packages and split.
And let them start drawing some comb out.
Let them start drawing some comb. And I have plastic that I need to wax. And I have a 25-pound box of medium wax foundation, wired wax foundation.
I've never used the.
So,
I've never purchased wire wax foundation. Now I know I have some that is in some of the frames that probably came in a Nuke or something like that. But I've never personally used that. But what the plastic that you're using? What kind of plastic are you using? Do you know?
it came with the first wave of boxes that I bought, and it wasn't waxed.
Frank,
And it's
what are you
basically
paying for?
Walmart.
10 frame deeps? I'm paying right at $20, I think, from Blythewood B Company. And
Texas B Supply had them for 25 assembled yesterday.
25 assembled. Blythewood B Company was selling them for $17.95 unassembled and $19.95 assembled, but I don't have to pay for shipping. I go and pick them up. So, but the thing is that when they assemble them, a lot of times they don't use like glue, you know, and they'll just nail them together, which is okay, I guess. But you know, like you said, you picked the box up and you thought you had nailed it, but it wasn't. I did that. I nailed mine, and I started seeing where the frame rest part, the little thin piece, was starting to bow out, and that was because I thought I had a nail in the gun and I didn't, and
Yep.
it was just hanging out there. So
Yeah, I hate when it happens. Most especially, I hate when it happens to me.
right. What does poison ivy honey taste like? That's what I'm curious about. Does it taste like anything?
I'm not really sure, because where I'm at, basically you just get a hodgepodge. You don't get one kind of honey, because the blackberry and the elm,
Right,
and
it's
the
all
tallow,
mixed together.
Yeah. So
Hold on, I'm going to try to find something for somebody here. Hive components. Yeah, it's finger jointed. Woodenware. Here we go. Woodenware.
yeah, the one I had wasn't just finger jointed; they were dovetail.
Oh, really? That's nice.
Now, I got them from the first wave of boxes I bought out of Walmart. And it was with frames and foundation, but the plastic foundation isn't waxed. And for 2 deeps, 2 mediums with frames, and this was like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. It was $120 or $130 or something like that.
You got it at Walmart.com.
So I bought, yeah, and so I bought like 3 of them because that's what they had left.
Right.
And the dovetail on the deep boxes was off by about a 1/16 of an inch on the bottom too. So you had to take a wood chisel. That's why they were discounted.
Right.
So, yeah, cheapskate.
Hey, I try to say. So,
I can fix it.
Here's the thing with Blythewood B Company. First of all, I can drive there. I don't get any like kickbacks or anything with Blythewood B Company. I get a military discount. They also they give you not B-Bucks like Man Lake, but you get like every, I don't know, there's a formula. So when you spend money, you get money off like your next time, right? So I went and bought all them nukes, right? That nuke cost me like $900. And when I went back there the next time to buy bottom boards and lids that I didn't have, I saved $100 off of it. So, so I got 10 bottoms and 10 tops, cost me $211 with tax. So I end up saving money by going back there next time because I bought this time, you know. So next time I go back, I might have $15 or $20 sitting over there on credit again.
Awesome.
So
well, you know, I I like Miller Bee Supply, and I heard about them on Cayman Reynolds. They were at their convention in like January. And when I went on their website, one thing that impressed me was that they actually tell you want the slotted bottom when you're going to do wax foundation, which I had bought some from somebody else, and they don't tell you that. And then you get the wax foundation, and you have to take a pizza cutter, and you have to cut like 3/16 off the bottom to get it to fit.
Right.
Which is a pain. I mean, it's already tedious to put all that together, but that's a pain. And I'd gone to one of the big box, and I don't remember which one it is, and they had the measurements on the frames.
Man,
And
like
I sent them an email asking them what, which one fit in what, and they sent me an email back saying, "Well, everybody knows that." And I'm like, I don't.
right. Why don't they just
So,
say medium frame, deep frames, shallow frame?
Exactly.
Yeah, they do that.
But they have the attitude. Well, everybody does that, but somebody who doesn't know that doesn't know that.
Right.
And so they actually have that little thing. If you're going to put this, you need this one if you're going to use wax foundation. You need this one if you're going to use plastic. So,
Right.
because they'll sell it.
Oh yeah, they don't care. They're gonna sell it to you, and then you'll be like, "Well, like my labels, I wouldn't have bought those labels had I known they're not on a roll, where I can just peel them and stick them, peel them and stick them." Now I got to try to peel the backs off of every single label to stick it on the bottle. Nope, that ain't happening.
Yeah, what was it that Leo Getz said about the drive-through
What?
in Lethal Weapon?
I don't remember what he said. What did he say?
You in the drive-through. When you go to the drive-through at the fast food place.
Right. Then you got to get out and go inside anyway.
No, because you're 2 miles away and you're not going to go back.
Right. That's true. You got the spirits going tonight.
Hey, Irish whiskey. Just a wee bit on the Irish side.
All right.
I'm English and Scottish, which means I'm conflicted.
Right. So you just split it up and said, I'll just be Irish.
The Irishman wants to get drunk. The Scotsman doesn't want to pay for it. And the Englishman wants to throw the other two in the Buscow because they're hooligans.
All right, DP. I'm getting ready to hop off here, brother. But we'll be back at it Tuesday night. And get some rest before your meeting, man.
I will.
All right. Well, it's good hearing about your bees, man, and everything going good. So looking forward to seeing how they progress.
Yeah, we're going to do well. I think we're going to do well this year.
Seems like it. Seems like you got to start on it. So that's good.
Amen, brother.
All right, man. Well, we'll talk to you next time.
Okay.
All right. Good night. Good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.